Welcome back for another garden tour. I'm the Hydrangea Daddy, and this is my suburban garden in zone 7A in mid-July. Let's take a look. Doing things a bit out of order compared to the last garden tour. We're gonna start here in the back with this hedge of little lime punch hydrangea. So it has come out of its prime now. So we had the bright chartreuse green, the pure white, and now we have already started to fade to that fruit punch color. So if you'll get in close here, you can actually see the blooms starting to turn that beautiful pink red. So those are all looking great. Missing some blooms here in the center of this one. We had some work done on our house, and one of the contractors absolutely demolished this section with a piece of trim. So better luck next year with those. These pink begonias here filling in very nicely. I knew they probably wouldn't touch, but they're doing well despite the fact that we've not had a lot of rain here. Moving on. Nothing too exciting on this side of the house. We've got Patriot hostas and cherry laurels. Some of these hostas have a little bit of burning on the side. This is the north side of the house, so the most shaded. I just cut all the blooms off the hostas. I hate the way hosta blooms look. I just think they look much better like this, just the foliage. So I got those cleaned up earlier today. Coming over here, this is my bed that has got my junior giant arborvitae and my Bobo hydrangeas. Everything here in full bloom. This opening act Pinka Dot phlox here coming into its second flush of blooms. I've got a little bit of a waterlogging problem over here. This Helen von Stein lamb's turning a little bit yellow because I think it's just staying a little bit too wet, though. This tater tot arborvitae is pushing a little bit of new growth because it does like that little bit of extra moisture. Beautiful bloom panicles on these Bobo hydrangeas. Lots of blooms here on this pink vinca. Here's another example of that phlox that's in its second bloom. So you can see where I could probably come in here and deadhead all the previous blooms out, but it's pushed enough new growth to kind of shade that out. Over here was where I did that mass planting of vinca, and this is where I'll stress the importance of checking your flats before you buy them, because you'll see that we got one volunteer white, and then we have another one over here that is pink on the outside but has white on the inside of the bloom. So two little unique bonuses there, but still looks great nonetheless. This one's down for the count, but it'll live. Over here, this is what a limelight hydrangea standard looks like after being 3 years in the ground, pruned as healthy as you can to encourage strong blooms. So I've still got a little bit of flopping here. I need to come in and just cut a few of these really small twiggy ones out just to lift the canopy up a little bit, because I'd ultimately end up taking them out in late winter, early spring anyway, so would have the opportunity to enjoy those blooms inside. Here, kind of hidden by these falling blooms of the limelight hydrangea standard, are these tiny quick fire hydrangeas. Darker foliage compared with other hydrangeas, and then the blooms fade to a dark crimson red as they age. So really nice. There's 3 of them kind of hidden under the canopy of this limelight here. Around them here, we've got Helen von Stein lamb's. Again, I planted these, I think it was early May, from quart size, so they're already almost at their full size here. So really, really happy with those. Sting arborvitae putting on just a couple of inches of growth this year. That's what I expected from that. My hedge of skip laurel looking very healthy there. My newest tree, my bloodgood Japanese maple, kind of getting eaten up by the Japanese beetles. So if you'll come in and look at this, you'll see they're really destroying the foliage here. So I've put up a Japanese beetle trap in that seems to have kept them off, and I've picked them off individually when I've seen them, but Still a lot of healthy leaves on here, so we'll just keep making sure those beetles stay off, that the tree stays watered, and it should be completely fine. Over here we've got a Firelight Tidbit hydrangea. This was just a small little stick I ordered online last year. I think it had maybe 1 or 2 blooms on it last year, so it's really filling out already. Around here we've got some heuchera, which is seen better days, probably just needs to be pulled out. It really does not like this area. I never cut the bloom stems off of it because they just need to come out. One healthy looking tree here though is this little gem magnolia. This has really put on a ton of new growth. You can see this lighter green foliage within the last 2 to 3 weeks, so it is really thriving in this spot now. This is one of my favorite evergreens. This is Stonehenge Skinny Yew, which grows about 8 to 10 feet tall and only about 18 inches wide at full maturity. Grows quite slow, but was just a nice evergreen here to fill the gap between these little lime punch and the little gem magnolia. You can tell I've got a thing for plants which start with little. Some more vinca here, emerald green arborvitae. If you look at this little lime punch, we've got some signs of what I think is maybe iron deficiency or some chlorosis. If you'll see the darker and lighter portions of these leaves around the vein, which I think is what also explains why these Supertunia vista bubblegum around them are just not thriving like you'd expect Supertunia vista to. They themselves have got some lighter foliage. I think what's happening here is I've got this downspout here which rushes all the water there, and all the fertilizer and amendments I've put in the soil just get washed downhill, which is why the hydrangeas on the other side end up looking better than these. So I think I need to come in and do something to divert the water or just re-amend the soil right here. Heading up the south side of the house, this gate's flanked by 2 sugar and spice arborvitae. This is the one I'm worried about. I've already lost one a year or 2 back. Just, I think the heat dried it out. No amount of water could save it. So making sure this one stays moist, and hopefully it lives and grows to be as healthy as this one here on the left side, which was planted first. Moving on, Anna's Magic Ball, probably doubled in size already this year. 2 more Firelight Tidbit hydrangeas. This area here with no blooms is where the deer came in and had a little bit of a snack earlier this summer. So I got my blooms on the back and, a ton of new stems which will grow blooms next year. So can't win them all. Now this is what I expect when I say Supertunia vista bubblegum. This whole bank right here is only 3 plants, to the point that I have had to cut some sections of it back to kind of get it off of this pink profusion salvia. Technically there is another one of those pinka dot phlox back in here getting covered up, more salvia getting covered by it, but it's fine. They're annuals and they'll come out this fall anyway. Jontar arborvitae here, putting on a lot of horizontal growth, not a lot of vertical growth, but that's okay. Since the last garden tour, I've cut all of this back. So these are all the second set of blooms for the pink profusion salvia and the cat's pajamas nepeta. So I'm not going to get too close because these are swarming with quite a few bees. Also swarming with bees are these puffer fish hydrangeas. These are the 2027 hydrangea of the year from proven winners. And they have grown absolutely massive. Full maturity, they should be 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. And they are more than on their way to do that. They've just grown completely together for the first year, and really happy with how those are growing. 2 more Anna's Magic Ball and another sugar and spice there. Heading to the front of the house, this first container here has got Supertunia Jazzberry, I believe, along with some other assorted superbells and petunias. Again, this is what I expect when I say Supertunia vista bubblegum. There's only 3 plants here underneath this little gem magnolia. They've completely filled in, so every week when I trim the grass, I end up, you know, snipping off some of the petunias just to keep that nice round shape of this bed. My sad hydrangea here is another Limelight Standard. Was doing really good until we had a bad storm a couple of weeks ago, and that really weighed these, what are massive bloom panicles. I mean, like, look at the size of that. So like when that's wet, that's a lot of weight. This is a younger plant here, so it really doesn't take much to bend these down and kind of keep them there. So I need to come in and prune some of them out just to decrease the weight, make sure, you know, these stems don't permanently stay bent. And then, you know, as I prune again in late winter, early spring, I'll really do a good rejuvenation here, prune to prioritize the strongest branches there. Nothing else has really changed here. The Supertunia Vista bubblegum around my maples is doing better than it was, but again, I think I've got some kind of nutrient deficiencies there. Same set of petunias here, some super bells up in these smaller white pots. We just got back from vacation, so they were all looking a little bit sparse and crunchy, so they're coming back to life. Over here, these are Jazz Hands Mini Loropetalum. This one was down to just a single stick at the end of the winter, and I replaced those two. So this one's slowly catching up, matching in size. We actually have a little pink bloom already on this one, which is nice to see. And then finishing things off, another Little Gem Magnolia, my favorite type of magnolia, more Supertunia Vista bubblegum. And then over on this side, I did have a couple of heuchera, which I just pulled out yesterday because they had completely died back. We've got two tater tot arborvitae. This is Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe. This spot here is right where our sump pump dumps out, and it seems to love that for some reason. And then right here are my tiny tough stuff hydrangeas. I've got a bit of discoloration on the foliage here. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, what's causing that. It could be the moisture here from where the sump pump puts out, but if you'll look at the back here, we've got two blooms that are starting to emerge. So, you know, they're healthy enough to put on a nice show for us. So I think I'm gonna just leave them there for now and see how they do. But yeah, that's a tour of my garden in late July. I'm the Hydrangea Daddy. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to next time.